Welcome to TRUtalk. I'm GamerDad. Tonight we've got some exciting things to talk about around Twitch subscriptions, free-to-play DLC, a little secret from an oldie but a goodie game, Doom 2, mixing a little bit of talk around the end of the PlayStation 2, some Anthem news, and some additional feedback on Dragon Quest XI. I think it's going to be a good time tonight. We got a lot to talk about. We all know that Jim, our normal co-host, is a huge Destiny 2 fan, so we've got a lot of Forsaken hype to spoil. He's not here tonight, so we're going to go ahead and hype it for him. But with that in mind,
Well, hello, TRUfam. September's upon us. Twitch has announced some vague information about how it's going to work. We're going to break it down for you with what we know and what we're assuming could be the case. Dragon Quest XI launched today for PC and for PlayStation 4. Came out to pretty rave reviews, and I am very excited for it. Some other topics we include, did Eminem's copy music from Kingdom Hearts? There's a little controversy about that. And Doom 2's supposedly bugged secret level was found. So that one's pretty interesting.
yeah, and for those of you who are not aware, sponsorship applications for TRUgaming are now open. That started yesterday, Monday the 3rd.
Woo woo.
Yeah. So get your sponsorship applications in if you're interested in joining the team. We are looking for fresh meat. I mean, new team members. We're nice. I promise. No, we'll welcome everybody in. So the applications are open. I think they're going to be running for about 2 weeks, so you got a little bit of time to get that in. If you're listening on the podcast, that puts us at around, I think, the 17th or so for them to close. So look to the website for that information. So BioWare is building up more hype about Anthem, and they're announcing that some of their DLC, which is going to follow the main content of the game, to be free. We're going to get into that a little bit. We do have something near and dear to my heart, the end of the PlayStation 2. Sony has called it quits, ending support. We'll get into that. So we need a little bit of moment of silence for my childhood.
A little tear for it.
Also, we can't get into any of our streams without Destiny talk, especially today with Forsaken releasing. But before we can get into any of that, the person to my left or right, I don't even know how to give the direction. Over here, we got Treasure Hunter Tom, our co-host and special guest. Tom, how are you doing?
Wonderful this evening. I had to work today, so I'm a little bit tired, but I got a nice drink and I got to relax with hanging out with you guys in the TRUfam. So it's definitely a better evening now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we like to start things off the same way with all of our True affiliates. Give us a brief overview of who you are as a streamer, your channel, and tell us how you got started on Twitch. Just a little bit of your background.
Right, so I've been a streamer for a little bit over a year. I do primarily RPGs, a little bit of survival games, occasionally a shooter here or there, but almost exclusively RPGs in that type of genre related to it. I didn't initially decide to be a streamer on my own. When I decided to start streaming, it was because my daughter keeps telling me that she wants to be a YouTuber. That's her childhood dream growing up. Every time you ask what she wants to do, what she wants to be, that's what she would tell me is I want to be a YouTuber, Dad. So I decided I would learn it for myself so I could teach her. And I got addicted to it fast, let me tell you. Nobody tells you when you start streaming how insanely fun that it is to be able to interact with chats, to meet some new people out there and share the content that you do. So it definitely grew on me.
Yeah, I would definitely say, and most of my friends and family and my wife Hypermom, who is in chat talking to everybody, they will all confirm. It is definitely an addiction to get into the streaming. I would say, if properly done, a healthy addiction, although that word has its own stigmas. But we know how you got started, and but we don't know where your name comes from. Why don't you fill us in on
Treasure
that
Hunter
history?
Tom.
Yeah.
Well, some of my primary content I started with was been Final Fantasy and always will be that series. It's one of the biggest names among of all of RPGs, but it's also the source of where my name came from. Uh, One of the best Final Fantasies ever created, and in my opinion, the best RPG ever was Final Fantasy VI. And one of the characters in Final Fantasy VI has a quote on the Super Nintendo version where he's called out to be a thief, and he says he prefers the term treasure hunter. So I've put that little piece in front of my name as Treasure Hunter Tom.
Well, there you go. There you go.
He's my favorite character too.
I was hoping you were gonna say 7 because 7 is where I cut my teeth.
Yeah, a
So
lot of people say 7,
yeah.
but I was old school. I started playing Final Fantasies with Final Fantasy 1. And in America, they didn't release 2 and 3. 4 came out as Final Fantasy 2 for us, and then they skipped 5 before they hit 6. So I played all of them.
Oh wow.
Went back when they released them on PlayStation, just to get a feel for the classic originals. So that's my bread and butter right there is that series.
Oh wow, that's really cool. Yeah, so 7 was like a family affair for us. I remember my dad getting us the PlayStation because this was on the original PlayStation, right? And I
Mhm.
remember I saw it first through one of my friends, and I had a broken arm back when the vibrating controllers were so vicious that if you had a broken bone, it actually warned you not to use it. You remember those days, right?
I do. I
Yeah.
mean, like
So
the first Rumble controller I actually put
yeah.
in my hands was the Rumble Pack for the Nintendo 64.
Ooh.
And even that was a bear.
Yeah.
It really shook you.
Yeah, so but that's like one of my fondest memories is having to watch my friends play and seeing all these different like giant beasts and summoning spells coming up in order to beat the game. So that was fun to watch. But we know who you are and where you came from. What keeps you motivated to stream on Twitch, and what do you love about it? I know you said that part of this was, learning it for family, but is that still kind of your driving factor, or is there something else now that you're kind of hooked?
Well, I after I got into it for a while, I did a lot of reading about what makes a good streamer, and just the interaction became a craving for me, just to be able to build a community, talk to them, get to know so many different people, and at the same time, learning what some of the good streamers, big streamers do is they do charity streams, and I wanted that to be something that is a part of who I am and what I do. So I'm part of a team that does charity streams for 8-Bit Salute, which supports Operation Supply Drop, which basically gets um, fund where there is none for active and retired military to ship them video game care packages all around the world.
Okay.
So I raise a lot of money for them and stream on the 8-Bit Salute channel as well as my own. So I'm a dual channel streamer.
Fair enough. Yeah. We've done so. I know TRUgaming has done some work with Operation Supply Drop as well as Stack Up and other veteran related or military related charities. I personally helped or joined up with Snoop Hogg TV, and we did. I think he was doing Operation Supply Drop, if I recall correctly.
I think the latest one he did was for Stacked Up. Prior to that, he did do
Okay.
Operation Supply Drop though. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because yeah, it's hard to keep up with the schedule because we used to try and get a charity a month kind of out there. So,
Mhm.
um, speaking of kind of monthly things, Twitch the standard monthly subscription. We're in September. We saw this last year, and in so the 2017 September was half priced subs, right? So $2.50. I believe that was September for them. It was a 250 subscription.
Yep. Half price off your first subscription to a channel, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. So it was not a renewal. You have to be, had to be a fresh one. And they were also announcing that the streamer was still getting their full cut. So they were not taking any out of what the streamer get, which normally meant you were getting all 250. I don't know if there's any other types of streamers who get a different cut. I don't know if partners have a different percentage, but
Yeah,
we
partners
we
get a little sweeter
yeah,
deal than affiliates do, but
right.
yeah.
So we were getting half of it. Now that was on all of them. If you got a tier 3 sub, it was $12.50 for the subscriber, and the affiliate got just their $12.50, and partners got more because I think the tier 3s had a higher split. So this time around, since sub gifting is a thing and community gifting is a big thing, you if you are gifted a sub in the month of September, there is some way to extend your subscription to the next 30 days for $1. That's what we know. That's what we've seen from, they announced it at PAX. We don't know anything else. I've been gifted a sub this month in another channel, and I tried to go and extend it because I'm like, well, $1 is $1, right? If somebody hooked me up with a sub, if all I have to do is pay $1 more to go 2 months just to support that streamer, I'm willing to give it a try for the sake of research to understand how it works. But the page
That is awesome indeed.
yeah, it still made it look like it was $4.99 though. So I didn't do it yet because I didn't want to screw it up. But have you dealt with this at all yet? Have you been gifted subs, or have you seen people gifted subs on your stream?
I've got gift subs to at least a dozen different channels, but I haven't looked up yet at this time exactly how you go about extending it for $1. All I've seen was the announcement so far, but they haven't worked out the details for us yet, I believe. As far as I'm aware, I haven't seen how that takes place yet and what it looks like.
Right. So the only thing that I know of, the only rules that I've heard, and I don't even know if these are confirmed, but they would make sense. You have to still be an active sub to extend it, right? So if I gift you a sub to the channel, you can't go 31 days and then re-up for $1. You have to be under that active gifted sub to extend it for an additional 30 days. So effectively, the gifted person pays $1 and gets 2 months to the channel is really what it is, because you've been gifted a $5 sub from someone else, you pay $1 more later, and it goes. So that's all I've heard, is you can't let it lapse. But
still a fantastic
it's great
gift for everything that makes Twitch what it is.
Yep. I saw somebody post. I mean, there's been community gifted subs for these big partners in like the thousands of subs, right? Just over the course of the month. I guess they're guessing that they're gonna get so many, and so that's just $1 for each of you. That's huge money for those big partners. Like, can you imagine Ninja easily getting?
I know.
Yeah.
That's big for the people who are already big. It's not
right.
So much a big deal for the people that are streamers and new and don't have that many subs to begin with, but it's still a nice pat on the back for all the people that have made it big and make Twitch what it is, really.
Yep, it's exciting. I mean, I know my channel has some of my more regular viewers have experimented with like the 5-person gifted community sub, right? They'll just do the 5 periodically. So it's not like I have an absurd amount of subscribers, but it'll be definitely nice to try and see if we can experiment with that and see if we can get some of the viewers to try it out, see if they can extend it. But we are hoping, there's an expectation, according to the article, that Twitch should be responding very quickly to the details of how it's going to work, because we are already in September. So they better tell us soon, or else we're not going to know what to do.
Indeed.
So I know nothing about this game. I'm going to be completely honest. I've heard the name Dragon Quest. I've never seen gameplay. I've never been into gameplay. Nothing at all, but I know you've said that this is something that's very near and dear to you. So why don't you take us in and fill us in on what's going on here with the Kotaku review, if I'm even saying this website correctly.
Yep. So Kotaku played the original release when it came out in July, and since it's been pretty much one of the only RPGs out there to have ever achieved perfect scores. And there's a list, if you look at RPG site, of maybe 10 games in the last decade of that site's history to have gotten a perfect score. Dragon Quest XI is one of those games, and it's going to be one to absolutely hit my channel at some point, because you can't pass something up that's got that much excitement behind it. Have I played it myself yet? No, but I am absolutely going to, now that it's out on PC. And the fact that it's out on PC is what the big deal about what this is because there has not yet been a full release major title Dragon Quest game for PC yet. The last big West launch of a Dragon Quest game was Dragon Quest 8 for PlayStation 2, and I didn't even get to play that. My experience with Dragon Quest is when it was still called Dragon Warrior, back in the original Nintendo days, and I got to play a bunch of those growing up to really know like the kind of games that it is, and get a feel for the music and the characters and what to expect out of it. But this is definitely one that you don't want to pass up as an RPG fan.
Okay.
So
Does it require any knowledge of the previous editions, or is it kind of like Final Fantasy where it's a standalone, each version is a standalone? It might have some references to names, but you can play it separate, right?
yeah, it's not a like a series extension in the fact that you would imagine like a 1, 2, or 3 of
Mm-hmm.
a series would go. It's its own standalone game. It holds the Dragon Quest title in name only. It's not a
Okay.
direct extension of anything else or a DLC by any means.
Right, and so you said it got a perfect score, but I'm reading. It's always funny when the only dislike to the game is like some of the music. Like, oh, well, the game was great. Some of the music, like they actually,
Yeah, they use the MIDI style music
yeah.
from back in the day, and that's been one of Dragon Warrior's things is they
Mhm.
have a specific set of tunes that they've continued from game to game. And if you looked at Dragon Quest Builders, which is kind of an offshoot among many others with the Dragon Quest series that keeps that music alive and even the enemies alive, just similar to how Final Fantasy has done it over the years, where there's just recurring things that you can grow to love and expect out of it.
Right. So this is not the initial release. This is just the Western release, right? Because the article is also talking about um like
Yeah,
gameplay
there's plenty of
time.
people out there that
Yeah.
already have multiple completions of it, hundreds
Mhm.
of hours played. So it's been out
Yeah.
since July of last year, as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
But its Western PC release was today.
Awesome. Awesome. That's definitely excited. It's something I'll have to hopefully jump in and check out some gameplay. I like the graphic style. Like I can see some screenshots
Yeah,
of
it's
the
got
game in the article.
TRUgame artist that does the same stuff for I think Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
That's the same artist that does the characters for Dragon Quest as well.
Hmm.
So you can definitely see the similarities in their art styles, especially in the hair with the way it comes to points, similar to what Goku's look like.
Okay. I got you. I got you. So that is PC, so Steam and PS4. Now
Correct.
that's the Sony's modern console, but a more of a, we'll say, a legacy console is the PS2. So I didn't even know that the PlayStation 2 was still receiving support from Sony, but as it turns out, Sony Japan was still running support for the PlayStation 2 only until as of recently. Um, I was reading through this article and I was just completely shocked to realize when this game system was actually released. I mean, I still remember getting the PlayStation. I remember going to the midnight release at a GameStop in a local mall here with my dad to get the PS2. But I didn't realize how long ago it was. It was March 4th, 2000. So they're finally pulling the plug
Yeah,
substantially longer than any Microsoft system ever runs, right?
I know. Yeah, I had no idea they were still offering support for it either. I figured it would have died out back around 2010-ish, back when the PlayStation 3 was around.
Right. Yeah, now I know that there is some overlap between systems because
Exactly.
there are some games that they don't carry forward. Did this article kind of spark the desire to go look at what some of the games were that were out on PlayStation 2? Did you go look at the list?
I didn't very much, no. I
Okay.
mean, back when I still had a PlayStation 3 for a while, before the poor thing broke down on me, I I got a lot of the games that launched on PlayStation 1 as shop DLCs, like
Hmm.
download. So I mean, I didn't have a PlayStation 1 growing up. My brother did, and we rented them a lot. But I never got a to dig into it as deeply as I possibly wanted to or could have or should have.
Yeah, this is where I think Shadows of the Colossus got its start.
That's true. Yeah.
Um,
The only thing that I remember about Shadow Colossus the most is that it was featured in a movie from
mhm.
from the guy that does Happy Gilmore. What's his name?
Adam Sandler.
Yes, it was in
Yeah.
a Sandler movie. It was a really sad movie, but to see that game featured in a film like that, it kind of stuck with me. As that's something that's really good, and I should play it. And I know they released a new version of it on PS4 that
Hmm.
was basically remastered in HD and all shinied up.
Yeah, there's a few games that are getting remastered. I know. So this is the console where I got to cut my teeth on different franchises. God of War. I got very interested in God of War, although I haven't had much time to play the new version that we have nicknamed as Dad of Boy. Um, but at
That's
the
great.
yeah, it's just it's so funny because you listen to some of the script of the actual kid, and sometimes you're like, why is he talking? Why is the kid still talking? Like, did they have to give him a script for this part of the scene? But so I got into God of War. I loved watching Shadow of the Colossus, although the puzzles were just over my head. I know people really get into Kingdom Hearts back then.
Oh yeah,
Do you remember the game Katamari? Is it Damacy? Is that how they pronounced it?
is that the one with
The
the
big ball.
big rolling ball that got
Yes.
bigger with the kind of snowball effect?
Yeah.
That, that game was wild. I didn't get to play it, but I love watching videos of it.
Yeah, and it would get just you'd make this thing get bigger and bigger and bigger, and my friend used to play it, but I got into the Devil May Cry series because of that.
Yeah,
And
I enjoyed that one quite
yeah,
a bit.
and
That's one of the few that I did get to play
mhm.
as well as the Final Fantasies of that era.
Yeah, I
That's
also
like that's also the time where a lot of the like the console specific games came out where they were kind of separating themselves
mhm.
from Nintendo, from PlayStation to
Yep.
Xbox. That's the era of the start of the exclusives.
Yeah, yeah, that was also a big deal. You know, I think Metal Gear Solid was getting its love in the PlayStation world. I don't remember if that was cross-platform or available on multiple platforms, but
They
I
got ported eventually,
yeah,
but not very much.
yeah. Do you remember like when sports wasn't just EA games? Remember like ESPN um football, right? They had the NFL, their own little NFL football game kind of thing.
I played a lot of the Maddens growing up
Yeah.
and Tecmo Bowl as a tot, but I never enjoyed the sports games that much. I mean, I pretty much stopped playing them around the time when Madden 64 was out, when you could make characters custom creations
Yep.
that were, max stats of any size. So you'd make the biggest behemoth type character you possibly could that could stomp around the field
Yeah.
three times, knocking over everybody in his path, and then
Oh
run
man.
backwards into the end zones,
Yeah, yeah.
untouchable.
Yeah, now they want to balance the game with stats for
Oh yeah,
players, and you can't make it unfair,
no more
s-
Bo Jacksons, huh?
yeah, right. Right. So, yeah, it was it's definitely a rundown kind of memory lane. It was inspiring. I mean, I could sit here and talk about games for ages about what I used to play. But we there was one game that we did mention. Kingdom Hearts was one of the games that was out on the PlayStation 2. I think Kingdom Hearts 2 came out on the PlayStation 2.
Hmm.
But there has been some. I I read this article was honestly so dumb after reading it because it was written and then retracted. The article was edited with a retraction, I think. So Kingdom Hearts and Eminem, like what world would we relate Eminem to Kingdom Hearts? Like, we were talking about this off screen earlier. What's going on?
The article points out that his producer was actually the one who made a claim. I think it was on Twitter that part of one of Eminem's tracks included a clip from Kingdom Hearts.
Mhm.
He was saying that he was just doing his video game thing, apparently. But when more people got into the controversy, started listening to it, as it turns out, it actually had come from an anime series instead of from Kingdom Hearts.
Mhm.
So was the producer lying about it, or was he just confused? I don't really know, but it's just really dumb. It
Yeah.
doesn't make a lot of sense why he would copy something either from Kingdom Hearts or from an anime series. He's known for doing original content, not copies.
Right. And I think they said the series was called Tokyo Ghoul. You know, it's weird because I don't know. Is it the same music producer that made the mix for both? Is that what's going on? Is that why it was easily confused? Because the same person made the music for Tokyo Ghoul as Kingdom Hearts? Is that, I mean, I don't even understand why this was a big deal. You know what I mean?
I don't either.
Like, you know, I just see this article get posted, hey, that people are mad at Eminem, and then I saw like on Facebook that somebody was trying to explain the difference between Slim Shady and Eminem, and you know he had a rough past, but now he's kind of making his way forward, and you know he's recovering from his what we'll say previous life kind of thing, you know, but. And then he gets this kind of, I guess it's like no publicity is bad publicity kind of things, but I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes people just spark debate just for debate's sake or for the attention.
Yeah.
This is what kind of what it seems like.
Yeah,
But it
well,
wasn't even Eminem himself that did it. It was his producers. So
yeah.
they're kind of overstepping boundaries, I think.
What what kind of phone call do you think happened there? You think he called him and was like, "Dude,
Somebody got heads rolling.
right.
Somebody got toes stepped on or fired at the very least.
Yeah, when your producer or your agent or some person who answers the phone when Mr. Mathers is given a call, right? Because that's his real name. They're like, "Oh no, someone messed it up now." Like he's calling from the real name phone. You know, like what's in my mind, I'm picturing Eminem having one phone and Marshall Mathers having another phone. And so depending on what you want going on, one phone's gonna ring versus the other. You know, that's just what's happening in my head. But so I don't know. This is super silly. It's just kind of like a hot take, but I didn't know he was still making music. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
But
it's
moving on, let's talk about this Doom 2 secret level
yeah.
thing. I
Oh
mean, what's
yeah.
the last time you can remember a secret going untouched for more than 10 years? It's unheard
Um
of.
yeah, there was another game where a long-running secret finally got revealed recently, but this one is like this one takes the cake cuz it's what did they say? 20 years, right? 24 years.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I played that game as a kid, and I'm vaguely. I mean, whenever I come across a secret, it's just the way that I am is I have to track it down,
Right.
and I could imagine one of those things just driving me absolutely insane. Because if I see a secret, if I see a treasure chest, I have to get it. There's no stopping me. I'll go for as long as it takes until I cannot take it anymore and absolutely have to give up because I cannot figure it out even looking online at a guide. I won't
Right.
even take guides if I can avoid it, but yeah, for this one to have avoided detection for over a decade with dozens and dozens of speedrunners holding world records for beating the game, all of them beat it with like a 97% completion, as if that was the best you could do, and it was thought to be the best you could do until somebody figured out that this supposed glitched secret wasn't actually glitched. And if you watch the video of it, it has a like a fire elemental, like a demon,
Mm-hmm.
chasing the guy. He basically kites it throughout the level until he gets to the teleporter that's supposedly bugged. But as it turns out, the way to activate that teleporter secretly was to have that enemy knock you onto it instead of triggering it in any other normal fashion. So nobody ever like bothered to have a creature chase him long enough to knock him onto this teleporter, and somebody figured it out. Sure enough.
Accidentally, I think it was what it seemed like too. Originally, it was it's either that or you know what? Let me just see what's going on. But I mean, 24 years ago, you're talking. I mean, you're talking what the early 90s, well, mid 90s. I can't do math. So yeah, 90, 94? 1994 would have been 24 years ago, I think. Yeah. So in 1994, you've got games that were produced in the early 90s and published in 94 with that kind of we'll say advanced logic that it's got it. I mean, it almost feels like the developer put in this little troll treasure piece, right? This would have triggered you to no end, just to mess with players. Like, hey, I bet you nobody will 100%. Like, I wonder if there's bets right now. Right? I wonder if they just have a prize pool for people guessing how many years it will take to discover the secret, and each year they're adding more money into the pool for people that are left. Well, you guessed 30 years, and you guessed 25 years, so everybody throwing another $100. You know, someone's kid's going to college for free with this prize pool with as long as it lasted.
Yep. I think there's work talking there from the creator John Romero, like just congratulating the person who actually found it. So hats off to Zero Master, apparently, as figured this thing out. But for somebody to hold on to a secret that long and still make other games and just keep that one little piece of treasure under his hat as a you can't figure it out, you bastards.
Yep. Yeah, it's there have been countless games that have been 100% completed by countless people before this has ever even been touched. So as of August 31st, 2018 is the first time anybody has ever acknowledged 100% completion of Doom 2. And I remember this game. I remember playing Doom 2. I remember playing the old Wolfenstein. I remember playing all those old classic first-person games. And I mean, it is. I mean, it did not age well. If you look at the screenshots, the graphics are terrible, but
No, it
it
did not.
is fantastic. So I mean, I don't know. I'm excited. I think it's pretty cool, but at the same time, um, I I love it when developers can sneak in and troll their players intentionally. There's nothing but intention here, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it took him some work to actually put together the script to make it so that that was the only way it triggered.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely intentional. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a bigger fan of Easter egg style ones that
Yep.
are kind of hidden behind the scenes than I am of just flat out weirdly triggered secrets like that. But
Right.
but yeah, just for one to be hidden that long is completely impressive.
Yep. Yeah. One not so hidden secret right now that we've got is BioWare. Just shifting gears a little bit, BioWare announcing at PAX that the DLC, some of the initial DLC for Anthem will be free for all the owners of the game.
And
Essentially,
not just like the tiny add-ons. They're talking story DLC,
yes.
like what would normally be your $20 to $30 add-ons,
Yep.
which has me pretty excited. Just hearing that alone about a big developer releasing a AAA title, that's something that's unheard of right now because there's nothing but just grief from players and basically every community across the board talking about how terrible it is that downloadable content and you know microtransactions and add-ons of all types basically skyrocket the price of gaming altogether, and it just irritates people to no end every time another dollar sign is attached to something else that they believe should be with the game. So for BioWare to do that is it makes me very happy to see him moving in a direction that pleases its player base.
And to your point, they're actually describing some of this as feature post-launch story. It would almost be like another game we're gonna talk about in a little bit. Destiny. Any of the Destiny DLC being snuck in is free. Now we know week to week they rotate through with some tiny little side mission kind of things that play into the background. But imagine if they released the story part of Forsaken free, and some other add-ons later, right? They make you pay for some of the others, but imagine if the entire Forsaken story arc was just offered to you for free because you own the rest of the DLC. That's what we're talking about here. You buy the whole game and you're getting the first wave. Now we do know there are going to be sorts of paid DLCs in there. Like they're not just going to give you everything for free. It's not just pay $60 or who knows what it's going to cost in February.
All they're talking about with that paid DLC though is cosmetics, similar to what the MOBAs do, where it doesn't give you any advantage. So no pay to win, just new shirts for monies.
Yeah. So
and I can deal with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like Fortnite, right? I consider each season DLC, right? In order to get the battle pass. But now that they've kind of tweaked how they do the battle pass, it's not nearly as pay to play as it used to be. But you know, I do like the skins are cool. If you want this really cool looking outfit, you can buy it, and you know, it sounds like that's what BioWare is going to adopt as well. But this is all part of their Our World, My Story kind of concept that they're going with. They're I'm really really curious about this because this is not just another first person sci-fi shooter, right? It technically is, right? It's, you know, it's just you've got
Yeah, when you watch the videos,
yeah.
the first thing that it reminded me was a combination of like Borderlands and Destiny
Yep.
2. But it's got its own little flavor to it, and that you're kind of like sort of flying a mech. Basically, it's like a power suit similar to like power armor in Fallout, but like a jetpack
Yes.
futuristic form.
Yeah, something like that, or one of the Iron Man movies when they had all the mech suits and all that. Not necessarily the very slim fitting, very efficient designed Iron Man suit, but some of the other mech suits that you would see that are
Yeah.
bigger and bulkier, like
Yeah,
the
they did
first
have a
one.
combination of it and kind of classes where there was a tank class that you'd
Hmm.
fly a huge one, and more of like a ranger class where you're in closer to the faster
Yep.
moving slim Iron Man type suit.
Yeah. I think their message behind this is really really cool though. Because
Absolutely.
how many times have you played a game that you're just like, oh well, great, I finished the story. Like now what? Now I have to go pay money to play again. Like I have to play more, but it's gonna hit my wallet. You know, there's that buyer's regret that you get. I mean, how many games have you bought where you're like you've played through the whole thing and it's great, and there's this big thing on the screen saying insert more money. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, like the game over screen on arcade machines as a
Yep.
kid.
Yep.
You gotta go ask mom for more quarters before you can keep going.
Oh man. Yeah.
Please, please.
Yeah. I remember those arcades. Gauntlet Legends was that game for me, right? To keep playing because you would lose life as the game went on just because you were playing the game, and you
Mhm.
know, you just had to keep throwing in those quarters, or nowadays swipe that card, right? Because you've got the game card instead of carrying a whole pocket full of tokens. I think kids these days should have a bucket full of tokens. Like not even
Oh,
quarters, tokens. Convert your money to tokens. They need to remember what that was like. No, I think this is awesome. I'm excited. I didn't realize how far away the release though was going to be. They're going to release it on all three main platforms, so PC, PS4, and Xbox One in February. Um,
that's pretty close to the release for Fallout 76, I think.
that's actually demo in October and release in November.
Oh, that's sooner than I thought. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Now that's PC release. I don't know if consoles are going to be later. I don't remember if they're delaying it or not. But a PC release is going to be late this year. This it looks beautiful. Like the graphics
It
of this
does, yeah.
game looks amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Every time a new game releases, I'm always a little bit worried if my PC is going to handle it. So I did a recent upgrade on my rig just
Hmm.
to be able to handle some of the new ones.
Yep. Yep. Speaking of beautiful games and beautiful content, right? You've seen these. I know you've seen some of these previous podcasts. There is not a single stream that can go by without getting some Destiny rants. Do you play Destiny?
I played through the entire main story of Destiny 2. Didn't play the original Destiny,
Okay.
but I stopped after the main story when I saw that flashing price tag of DLCs.
Hmm.
So I
Yep.
was right with that kind of tie into the last thing we talked about.
Yeah.
I'll let you monologue on it for a couple of minutes. I got to hit the restroom quick, and I will be right back.
Yeah. So for those of you who are under a rock, um, right now, Destiny 2 Forsaken has released. It's open. This past weekend, they had their little special free play weekend for, I think they called it Gauntlet. But it was like described to me, but Jim described it to me as a PvP, or no, sorry, PvE VP game. Wrap your head around that one. So it was a PvE game where you and a team go into this map together and you're fighting against the AI. You're fighting against you've just got this whole mission where you're trying to collect tokens and cash them in to build up this power and spawn this end boss. But there was a PvP aspect added into that. You can invade, one of you can go and invade the other team's map where they're going through, and you can kill them, and if you die you lose all the tokens. They're not dropped like Sonic the Hedgehog where you can pick up the rings again. and you would race to defeat the boss first. So that was a fun little aspect. So they teased us with that. They depressed us with the loss of Cade. I don't know what the story is going to be, but there looks to be a lot of story around the loss of Cade and the jailbreak and everything like that. So I don't know how long the content is. I'm hoping it kind of lines up more with the first DLC to where you don't have. I want it to be a nice long story. I don't want to sit down for like an hour and knock it out. So hopefully it will be plenty to play. I have been fighting off the urge to do it, but I think I'm going to pull the trigger after tonight's stream and patch in Forsaken and start playing it. So, but you were saying, Tom, that you were kind of you're stuck on the DLC price tag. I know that they're trying to hype this game. I know that there are packages out there where you can buy the new DLC and get the old DLC. So it might be worth a lot of people to look into and give it a shot. I'm excited about it. So I don't know.
I'll
You're
consider it.
Yeah, you're a role
I
play
enjoy the
gamer,
looter
though.
shooter genres, and,
Yeah.
from what I played at Destiny 2, it definitely was enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's two parts of it that didn't really click for me. Was the end game when I got to it for just the base game didn't. It felt kind of lackluster, and I know with the DLC that's greatly improved. But the other part of it that threw me off a bit was the main character not having a voice. And for a game that's entirely surrounded by characters that have voices, to not give one to the main character, it just didn't do it for me. It felt awkward every time you got into a conversation with somebody and he never says a word.
Right.
Why?
It always felt awkward because the ghost would always cut him off before he could say anything. It looked like he went to hesitate, and he's like, "And then you're speaking for me, right?" Might as well. I mean, look, if I was a guardian, I know that my ghost is essentially the source of my immortality, so to speak. But if that little AI thing keeps cutting me off, I'm gonna swat it away like a fly. Just, can't you picture? Right.
Long ago.
Right, like Nathan Fillion. Can't you just picture that? Right. Let's just think of Firefly. Let's think of the show Castle. Just that obnoxious character. You can just see him just turning and looking and just, or taking his gun out and shooting it. Just I can just see a spoof video of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I will say, I personally hate first person shooters. Can you believe it? I'm so excited about Destiny 2, but I can't stand first person shooters.
Yeah, it's the looter shooter part of the genre that pulls you in. If you're not into shooters, but you like RPG games or progression games for that matter, it's got that aspect to it that redeems it, even if you're not into the shooter part.
Right. I will say though, because the first person shooter, and this is where the looter comes in, but the first person shooter concept to me was story mode, PvP mode. When you complete the story mode, what else is there to do? I'm gonna go PvP. But in Destiny, you've got raids, you've got all these other random little missions, you've got weekly rotating things that include PvP but don't have to include PvP, and I want every weapon in the game. I want every exotic. There's the treasure hunter part, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. It's gonna be exciting. It brings back. I never got in the Destiny 1 either. I think I played the main story and beat it. The Destiny 2 main story. I feel you on the lackluster part. No spoilers because there might be some new people getting into the game because of Forsaken. But with the way it ended, I also know that was a time when a lot of people were very disappointed in the way Destiny 2 released. There was a lot of people. It almost died, but then they caught it and they're like, well, we'll fix this, fix this, fix this. And they made a lot of tweaks to the game and really revived it, I think, around the DLC, which is really cool.
A lot of other games kind of suffered the same fate. They got overhyped. They didn't feel like they were basically complete by the time they were finished. And there was another one that was very similar in that regards, where the community didn't like what happened with it, and the devs actually brought it back, and that would be and I am brain farting it, so I have to look it up. You'll have to excuse me after a long day of work.
I'm thinking of No Man's Sky when you say a game that released with everything but wasn't a full game. Took them a year and a half.
One of the similar ones. The Division. There we go. That's the one I was thinking of.
Okay.
So that one, it had the tons and tons of hype to it, But then when people got to the end game, they got disappointed, and the devs made enough changes to bring the game back. So I think Destiny 2 is a lot like that.
Yeah, yeah, and now everybody, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but people are like, it's like playing Destiny 1 all over again. No, it's not. I I get the comparison. I get that there are features. I get that there are weapon slots. They're bringing back some of the old functions that, I can now carry a shotgun in my main slot instead of as only a heavy. And I get that they've made those tweaks, but that doesn't make it Destiny 1 all over again. Destiny 2 is its own thing. It suffers from the DLC bug. I gotta be honest, I'm worried about Anthem suffering from the DLC bug as well, because I know it's free. Um, when I read the article, and I'm bouncing back to Anthem, but I with all these different DLC contents, I just honestly worry. Um, why are they willing to give out free DLC? Did they screw up? Is the game not complete? Is that why they're going to offer post story DLC to
I think they're
extend the
trying
game?
to make up for the fact that they screwed the pooch on Mass Effect Andromeda.
Okay. Yet another beautiful game, but I know it flopped. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they do make great games though. I mean, they make beautiful games, and they're great at story. So even if it's a short game, I'm really I might actually get into Anthem just to play the solo story or the co-op story. I might do that. I don't know how much further I'd go, but I might be willing to give that a shot because it looks gorgeous. I need
Yeah,
a new
I'm big
graphics
on
card, but
mechs in general, so to
yeah,
have that in a game, that
yeah,
it did look exciting to me.
yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting. I definitely I'm getting more into gaming than I have ever been before. Most of my work is on the creative side, painting stuff, but I'm trying. There's all these games. I'm like, but I want to play. When do I play? If I'm too busy doing creative work. Excuse me. I got to get used to saying this. Too busy doing hobby, right? Because
Yeah.
the explosion of those tags. Um,
Speaking of creative, you're one of the people that inspired me to pick up some sculpture stuff. So I
there you
picked
go.
up a whole bunch of air drying clay and tool sets to go with it, since I did that a lot as a kid.
Yep.
So seeing all of your creative streams helped inspire me to
No.
actually go out and get all the stuff to do that. So at some point, when I don't know what goal I hit, but I'm going to put it out there that I'll eventually do a sculpture stream for the True community.
There you
And
go. I mean, you do a lot of charity work. You could always tie it into a charity milestone if you
that would be
if
fun
you
too.
complete
Yeah.
some sort of an event. Um,
I
you
haven't
know,
quite figured out how I'm going to trigger it yet, but I
right.
know it works.
There you go. Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, that sculpting is something I haven't gotten into yet. I've been working on lighting effects, making things using paints to trick your eyes into thinking stuff is glowing. So, but yeah, definitely going to be excited about that. This is a much more chipper and more exciting stream. I know last time we were talking about some of the unfortunate tragedy going around with Jacksonville with the esports event. So
Oh, I
I'm
know.
happy to come back with a more exciting thing. Unfortunately, we do have a loss today. We have the loss of Jim. He'll be back next week. Tom, you've been great being my kind of like my co-pilot running solo.
Appreciate it.
So we know, a lot of you who don't know Jim, knows he not so secretly, very publicly, has a high value in his family and some of his very close friends. And the connection he has through a lot of those people is through Destiny. So he lives and breathes and loves the Destiny world, which is why I kind of wanted to throw in the Destiny 2 hype for him today. Unfortunately, he wasn't here to enjoy it, but it's kind of a throwback to him. He is going to be very heavily involved with that. We'll touch base with him next week when he's back on, um, and we'll see kind of what his thoughts are through week 1 of the Forsaken. But I don't know, Tom, if you've got any other news or any other articles you want to hit on. I think we've covered most of it, but if you got any, I know you're really big into game ports, so if there's anything else there that you want to discuss.
Well, I have seen a lot of change coming through with gaming ports in general that I'm working on creating an article for. I just recently got into writing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's come a long way in pretty much just the last year as to the amount of quality and effort that they're putting into porting games from one console to PC, from mobile to PC, or any direction, any way in general, even from like regular PCs to creating VR versions of them. And I'm really excited to see that they're spreading the love, because that's one of the biggest things out there is like when people just have one system, one console, they can't afford to buy all of them. All those different exclusive titles or just individual places those things go. It's hard to to miss out on some of the greats, and I'm just glad to see more effort going into it. I mean, just maybe a year ago, I saw things like take Chrono Trigger, for instance, one of the biggest classic RPGs of our childhood. That got ported to the PC just this last year, and it was completely half-assed. Like, nobody liked it. Everybody refunded it left and right, gave it terrible reviews, and a lot of games over the last year or two ago kind of got that same sort of treatment, where they just wanted to throw it out there because they could, without actually attaching any sort of effort to doing it. But more of the recent ports that I've seen between Final Fantasy 12 and 15, getting just fantastic ports where they went all out to make it as good as they could make it for the PC version, and that's made me really happy to see. One of the other ports that I've seen recently where they could use a little more work was with Monster Hunter World. I mean, a lot of people love the game. It's a fantastic game, don't get me wrong. But when they ported it to PC, there was a humongous bug that didn't get enough attention, and is still to this point kept me from buying the game because it made me so angry. Was a bug that if you got to the final boss and beat it, it could corrupt your save file before you could finish the game. And it basically eliminated every progress you made. Like, if you went and spent 60 hours in the game, it was gone. There was nothing else you could do about it. It was toast. And I could not for the life of me forgive that. But there's things like that still exist out there for ports. But in general, we're seeing a lot of progress made where devs are actually putting their best foot forward, listening to the communities, and actually doing a good job for it. And I'm happy for it.
And to be fair, just so everybody else who's not up on the term port, right? The context I'm getting here is a game originally designed for one system, but is now available on another, right? So Monster Hunter World being ported to PC originally from PS4. Hopefully we get to see God of War, or the Dad of Boy, get ported to PC soon enough, because I would love to play it. And I would love to stream it, although unfortunately I've spoiled most of the story. So yeah, I've seen the Switch getting a lot of love. I've always viewed Nintendo, especially around the Wii and the Wii U era, as being more of the like child-friendly gaming kind of concepts, right? Zelda, not violent, but violent, right? You can beat monsters up with a sword or a stick, but not really overly violent. And now you're getting like Fortnite. Your intent is to kill somebody, right? I'm gonna kill you.
Exactly.
So they're getting more of the mature games too.
Yeah, more recently was the remaster for the "You Died" meme.
The "You Died" meme. I don't remember. You're the port expert.
Oh.
What's a new port that the Switch just got, guys? I guess it's a highly violent game.
Dark Souls. There we go.
Oh wow.
The "You Died" meme should have gave it away for most people, but yeah, I was glad to see that happening. I know a lot of people are afraid of the difficulty of it, but I've always loved that series, and I'm glad to see that even games like that are getting some port where they're spreading them around to the Switch.
Yep. No, that's exciting. I'm glad. Part of me wants to see Nintendo continue that child-friendly concept, because, thinking of my own daughter, if she gets into gaming, I don't necessarily want her to jump onto a PlayStation or an Xbox console because of the type of games that she could be exposed. So I know part of that is my preventing or adding to that exposure. But at the same time, the look and the feel of the Nintendo console to me has always been for kids. The Mario stuff, Mario Kart, Mario Party, Mario everything.
Yeah, it's a good place to start. My daughter grew up on PC because every time I would do an upgrade for my computer, I would give her my old one.
Okay.
So she grew up on games like Undertale. So she's
Mm-hmm.
got kind of a emo indie game background to her that
Yep.
kind of shaped her love of games a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's exciting. I mean, you know, Jim and I touched with, I don't remember who was on the cast, but we talked about cross-platform, cross-save versus cross-platform and all that because, you know, he was talking about if you get Destiny 2, your friends play on Destiny on PS4, your family plays on PC. You've got some other people in your clan that play on the Xbox. If you want to play with everybody, you have to grind out each character you want to the max level, get the
Yep,
max light level
exactly.
each time. When
Yeah, there's a lot
imagine,
of streamers
yeah,
of Warframe that suffer from that exact thing, where
yep,
they have their entire community all playing on different platforms that want to join up with them. So
right.
they take different nights to play on different platforms. Where if the developers just took that one extra step, they can make everybody happy.
Yeah. Yeah, and there is a little bit of competition, you know, I think we were talking about Fallout 76 getting a little bit of pushback, or maybe it wasn't Fallout 76. Um, but Sony was getting pushed around, I think, by Bethesda. I'd have to go back and read the article, but there was a previous article where this came up talking about games being cross compatible. Look at Fortnite, right? That's on just it's on
It's on
every
mobile for Christ's sakes.
it's on Android, iPhone,
Yeah,
Switch now, and you could technically be on each of those platforms at the same time in your squad. So you know it's not difficult, but it's not easy. But you know it that seems to be the next wave, being able to port your character around or port your data around, which would be really really nice. So, but yeah,
yeah. If
game
only the
porting.
developers could get past those exclusivities where they just don't want to mesh with each other anymore. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
glad to see that Microsoft and Nintendo kind of hashed out their differences a little bit and started to go down that
Yep.
path. There's a lot of memes out there laughing at Sony getting left behind.
I mean, they've
So they're definitely being shamed for it. That's for sure.
well, they should be because they've always been proprietary. It's
Exactly.
look at their digital cameras, separate video or separate storage card. Remember that Sony memory stick?
Mm-hmm.
Like you know, so and I know that's a different division than PlayStation, but it's still
Yeah,
Sony, you know, proper. So
exactly.
they've always been very proprietary. I think they'll catch up. I don't think they're gonna get left behind. I don't think that they're gonna fall apart. They'll still be out there, but
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, porting needs to be a thing. I just Monster Hunter World ported over pretty quick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. A
so
lot of games are moving a lot faster in
mhm.
that direction. And I know for part of it is the fact that just development processes on those things, it does cost a lot more money and a lot more testing time to
Oh sure.
develop it for multiple platforms at the same time because they all have their different bugs to work out, different kinks and things to take into consideration. So I understand it. What
Hmm.
they kind of do along those lines is release the game, and if it does well, it gets ported. But if it doesn't, it just goes into the scrap pile of you know bargain bin games and Steam sales for 80% off.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think Monster Hunter World will have that problem, other than the big bug,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that's I've played it. The controls are clunky. I would say that port there wasn't a whole lot of effort, I feel like, given to the key bindings from
Yeah, the
controller to keyboard.
controllers were a little bit of an issue, but that's a
Yeah.
difficult one because there's 1,000 controllers for PC where there's one for
Yep.
Xbox, PlayStation.
No, I'm a keyboard and mouse gamer. I don't like using controllers on the PC. I don't know why. I just don't. And
Yeah, there's some games that were made for console,
mhm.
and when ported to PC, it feels awkward to do with the mouse and a
Yep.
keyboard. So for those games, I keep my Xbox controller with USB version just for those instances. But most of the time, I'm keyboard mouse too.
I have an old PlayStation 2 Universal controller that's got a split on it. The dongle at the end has the PlayStation 2. It's like an old Mad Cat style controller, but it also has the USB dongle as well. I don't even think Windows 10 will support it anymore, but um, that might have actually made it to the trash. But um, I would say Monster Hunter World is one of those games, since it was console driven, it is a little awkward on the default key bindings. to first get into. And I also don't take any. My problem is I don't take the time to go research the key bindings and tweak it. But you know, because you're like trying to reach across to another character or another key on the keyboard that's not necessarily intuitively next to where you'd want it to be. You know, hitting E to activate something is very, very simple and easy to do. You know, you have to right click out of everything in Monster Hunter World instead of hitting escape or something like that. It's weird, but you know, just adjust your key bindings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think that's gonna do it for us tonight. Just to kind of take us out here, if you've got a podcast topic you'd like to discuss with us on the show, send us an email to TRUtalk@TRUgaming.com or go to the website TRUgaming.com or any of our social media links and just reach out. Remember to subscribe to our channels for episodes via YouTube, Twitch, iTunes, Spreaker, SoundCloud, and we're now on Spotify. So we're everywhere. We release on Spreaker and it just spreads out to all those locations. We'll be back next week with more True Talk. We'll have our special guest, Mr. Pure Instinct. I think he's pretty excited. He told me today that he's going to be making a special video announcing his joining of True Talk. So it's huge. It's exciting. So if you're live in the chat now, we do have the Discord link up there. So make sure you guys do check out that Discord. Tell all your friends about it. Send us out some love, and we'll see you next week on the next podcast. So Tom, I appreciate all your time. Thanks for jumping in for Jim and kind of helping co-host. Yeah, it's been a good time.
Have a good one, TRUfam.
Yep. So good night, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Java